News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Hallelujah. Can I get an amen? Amen. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227, 10:05 p.m. on the program. Okay, so I'm going to be playing some of the highlights, and we're just going to sit on this and have some fun with this. And I want to ask you a question. How do you think she did? By now, you've undoubtedly seen the 60 Minutes interview, or at least highlights thereof, and you have seen this disaster. For example, how are you going to pay for all this?
My plan is about saying that when you invest in small businesses, you invest in the middle class, and you strengthen America's economy. Small businesses are part of the backbone of America's economy.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
But we're dealing with the real world here.
But the real world includes...
How are you going to get this through Congress?
You know, when you talk quietly with a lot of folks in Congress, they know exactly what I'm talking about because their constituents know exactly what I'm talking about. Their constituents are those firefighters and teachers and nurses.
You didn't say how you're going to pay for it. He asked you like 3 times. He says, but we're in the real world here. We're living in the real world. The poor woman cannot tell you how she's going to pay for it after, 2 or 3 or 4 times. He's in the real world. She's not. That's CBS News 60 Minutes reporter Bill Whitaker, who did a good job there, clearly. And then I'm going to play for you the illegal failure and how he asked her over and over again, you literally quadrupled the number of illegals. And you could have done this 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Why are you doing this now? And over and over again, he asked her over and over again.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem. And solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
But what I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
So there you go. No good answer. And it went on and on and on. In fact, CBS News 60 Minutes edited this comment. You will hear her word salad on Israel. You didn't hear this if you watched 60 Minutes. They cut this out. The unedited version, I will play first. This is the word salad on Israel.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
What was that? What did she say? Did anybody understand that? Okay, I got 3 people here I'm working with, and none of them know what she was saying. Here's the polished version.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Oh, much better. Much cleaned up much more, huh? It went from, let's see, let me do the time on this. It went from a 26-second word salad to, let's see what this one is. From 23-second word salad to 12 seconds. Woo-wee. No, 26-second word salad. They trimmed off 14 seconds of word salad. Pretty amazing, huh? Thanks, CBS. Appreciate you covering for at least a little bit there. Okay, how did she do? How do you think she did? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm going to add in the View today, which was a disaster because all they were doing is calling her our president and, endorsing her and everything. And she still failed. She didn't fail. She made a Trump ad today. It's amazing. Here she is on The View making a Trump ad. Here we go. Got to turn my volume up.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Well, there you go. Nothing. I cannot think of anything that I would have done different than Joe Biden and has done here in the 4 years under him. Nothing that comes to mind. Now, I mean, Afghanistan, let me think. Afghanistan was great. The withdrawal was great. I was the last person in the room, she said. I was on board with that. I thought it was awesome. Handling Iran, giving them $100 billion in revenue. And taking them off a lot of restrictions so they could kill more Jews and use that money was great. Letting Putin invade Ukraine was great. Oh, let me think what else. Oh, yeah. Inflation. I mean, people are paying 55% more for their car insurance today than they were when we took office. This is great. Hey, mortgages. The day we took office, mortgages were $1,700 under Trump, and now they're $3,300. I want 4 more years of these policies. There's nothing I can think of off the top of my head that I would do differently. Grocery prices. Chris Croc's budget over 2 weeks was $500 for his family of 4. Now it's $800. I can't think of anything differently I would do. No. Next question. How did she do? How did she do on 60 Minutes, and how did she do on The View, in your opinion? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Let me tell you something. I said it in the first hour. I'm going to say it again now. Trump deciding to not do the second debate with her was brilliant because it makes her focus more on getting out and having her focus on her, not him. And when the focus is on her, she fails. Number 2, and when the pressure increases and the attention increases, she flops. She fails. Number 2, Trump's decision to not do 60 Minutes was brilliant because today we're only talking about her 60 Minutes interview and not his. It would be 90% Orange Man bad today and 10%, yeah, she didn't do too hot. Today it's all her, and it's really bad. And that View appearance today was even doubling down on this, making it worse. This is wonderful news for us. She's doing a great job. Keep hiding Trump. I mean, he goes to his rallies. He's not hiding, but you know what I'm saying. Keep refusing to engage in things that she's doing with them. Let them do it with her. And I mean, dude, it's going great. It really is. And meanwhile, he is campaigning on groceries, gas prices, energy costs, housing costs, and standing up for America and making us the best nation. And I heard Melania today. You can laugh, but I heard Melania. I wouldn't. People nodded Dr. Jill Biden's leg every time she comes out. Oh, Joe, you're doing so great. You answered all the questions. And Melania came out. I mean, I listened to it. I listened to the segment on Fox News, but I saw it later. I'm like, dang, the woman's older now. She's like, what, 6, 8? She's like 8 years older. She's freaking still amazingly gorgeous. And she was wonderful in the discussion today for 10 minutes on the 5. I thought it was fantastic. But gosh, is she still just totally gorgeous lady, first lady-like, and look forward to her being back in the White House. And Nurse Jill, she'll probably steal all the curtains or something, or leave a double-decker in the toilet or something, you know? I don't know, man. Nurse Jill doesn't like him. Yeah, they try to jail him, and he's going back to that White House. He's getting the curtains ready, and they're going to be a lot nicer than yours. Okay. I want to get in also coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. This is fun tonight with you. A troubled place. Charleroi, Pennsylvania is another small town, very small, tiny town. It is being destroyed by Joe and Kamala's illegals. I will tell you how. Plus, one community I've barely even touched on that is huge. A full column written about it in the Wall Street Journal a week or two ago. Whitewater, Wisconsin. My brother went to UW Whitewater for his, his graduate's degree. And I went in that area camping all the time with my friends in high school, college time. And it's been invaded by illegals. It's another small town, Wisconsin. I'm very familiar with small town, Wisconsin. Driving through it all the time growing up, living there in Madison and in northwestern Wisconsin at a radio gig up there too. So, yeah. This is really, really bad. And so it's not just Springfield, Ohio. It's Charleroi, Pennsylvania. It's Whitewater, Wisconsin. You know, if a quarter of the people of Wisconsin who are on the fence about presidential election know about Whitewater, they will not want to vote for Kamala Harris. If they know about Prairie du Chien, where a trained Nicaragua member, Prairie du Chien is in freaking a bum, BFE, and it is on the border of Wisconsin and I think either Minnesota or I think Iowa. I think it's Iowa. I don't know. Anyways, Trinidad guy was there. He tied up a mom and a woman and sexually assaulted both of them, and he brutalized them with an axe. Another great contribution from Kamala Joe. All right, what would you do if this happened in your town? I will tell you about that, and we'll take your calls, 800-288-WBAP on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. It's at 1019 on the Chris Crock Show. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Let's see here. A troubled place, Charleroi, Pennsylvania, along with Whitewater, Wisconsin, and, of course, Springfield, Ohio. I'll share those in a moment, but let's go to Roy in Dallas. He's calling in at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I guess he wants to comment on our word salads on 60 Minutes. Always taking your calls at 800-288-WBAP. 4 lines open. Roy Dallas. What do you got? WBAP, good evening.
I was talking to your call screener, and I asked him, have you ever played the word game Scrabble?
Yeah, my wife cheats at it all the time. That's all she.
Kamala Harris.
My wife is the biggest freaking cheater on this. She looks up stuff to prove that she's right. She throws a stupid word out she doesn't even know exists, something that sounds so fake, and then she goes, well, let's look online. See? And she makes up words, and then there's some that actually match. I'm like, this is freaking cheating. Go ahead, sir.
Chris, that's exactly Kamala Harris. Every statement she makes, because she can't follow her script on her teleprompter, and she's an absolute idiot without her.
Do you remember when her teleprompter went out a couple days ago, and she repeated 32, number 32, like 3 or 4 times in like 20 seconds?
Right, exactly.
Oh, that was great.
For paying for these things, it's her way of avoiding using the verbiage of diversity, equity, inclusion, minority businesses, reverse
instead of just American businesses, all businesses.
Exactly. And you know what? We, the consumers, ultimately, we will be the taxpayers paying for that and those things. And furthermore is that she shows blatantly her ignorance and lack of intelligence in majority of her statements, even when she's out there in the public. The woman cannot think for herself. She's got artificial intelligence implanted in her head, without a doubt.
Yeah, yes, I think she just doesn't want to be honest. She doesn't know what to say without. She can't be authentic. That's it. She's not comfortable with herself in public.
Yeah, and Chris, another thing too. A very good friend of mine, knows you very well.
Allegedly,
Steve Crossman.
Don't know who that is.
Sir?
Don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's down there at First Baptist Church. He's one of the.
Then I know him by sight and stuff like that, and there's too. Yeah, I was going to say if I do know him, I'm just joking. I know him, and then I do know him.
Yes,
Go ahead.
So anyhow, you're under attack too by Bonnie Matthias of the CWA in Dallas, who's also.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what that is?
Somebody's attacking me?
Yes, sir.
Who's attacking me?
Yeah, she's with the Dallas Democratic Party.
She's doing a horrible job. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, and the other guy is Gene Lance.
Is he attacking me too?
Yes, sir.
I don't know who these people are. God bless him. Thank you. Spell my name correctly.
And he's with the AFL-CIO.
Good. Come at me. I love this. Yeah. Wonderful. Spell the name right. KROK.
Yeah, I absolutely, totally so. But they don't like conservative talk show radio programs.
No, they want
yours and Martin Davis.
Yeah. I got to roll, but
yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
God bless you. You have a good evening, sir.
You too, brother. Wow, there's people going after me. I didn't even know about this. This is amazing. All right. Okay, coming up next, we're going to get into this. A troubled place, Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Local population grappling with the surging migrant invasion. Whitewater, Wisconsin, invaded by illegals, being destroyed, as well as Springfield, Ohio. All the details on those two towns, tiny towns, in Wisconsin and in Pennsylvania. Next on the Chris Crock Show at 10:33 on WBAP News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. All right, let's start first on Whitewater, Wisconsin, where illegals have invaded Whitewater. It's a small town with UW Whitewater. It's a college town in south central, I would say south central to central Wisconsin from my memory. I could be a little off. It might be more southeast central. But it's only a couple hours from Chicago. I know that. To the north, obviously. Whitewater Police Chief Daniel Meyer. This is in the Wall Street Journal by a column by Jacob Curtis. Chief of Whitewater Police says he's starting to notice increased encounters between his officers and recently arrived illegals from Nicaragua and Venezuela in early 2022. He estimates that at least 1,000 illegals from Central America established themselves in a city of 15,000. I repeat, 1,000 illegals in a town of 15,000 in the middle of Wisconsin in 2022 and 2023. Officials in Whitewater, about an hour west of Milwaukee. See, I told you I was right. Didn't even have to look at a map. With no advance warning, 1,000 illegals were dumped on them in a city of 15,000. You understand this? How bad this is? Here's what happened with cops. They found a family of a young child living in an uninsulated garden shed in sub-zero temperatures. They had a report of a fire discovered with 2 illegal migrant children sleeping alone on the floor of an apartment while food burned on the stove. A school resource officer discovered an illegal migrant father was forcing his 14-year-old daughter to work 30 hours a week rather than attend school. They found the body of a dead baby in a box near a trailer park. After an investigation, the illegal migrant mother of the deceased baby was arrested and identified as a Nicaraguan illegal. This has resulted in a spike of domestic and sexual assault claims. Raping you and beating you. That's Joe and Kamala. Again, a spike in domestic and sexual assault claims to Whitewater Police. God help these people. They're good people. You go into the grocery store, you go into the convenience store to get stuff for camping, you fill up your gas tank, you talk to them. When we were young and single, you'd hit on the chicks at the gas station, stuff like that. The stories, the memories of being young and single. She claimed here we go, there was a kidnapping of a minor, revealed that an illegal migrant had held the girl against her will for 3 days. She claimed the man choked and hit her while pointing a gun at her head. By the way, this also reminds me of when we'd go there, we'd cruise for chicks on the weekends sometimes, because we're like 10 minutes out of these small towns. You just go, there's like a town, there's people driving in circles, what do they call it, cruising or something like that, and we were doing stupid things back then, we were just punks, the locals and all that stuff. Anyway, just memories are interesting. Okay, the Latin American gangs have also arrived in Wisconsin. Earlier this month, a woman was sexually assaulted in Prairie du Chien. I told you about that, by a member of Tren de Aragua. Whitewater police have determined the Nicaraguan members of the Salvadorian gang MS-13 are present in the city. God help these people, and I mean that with all sadness. Cops have seized almost $250,000 of cartel funds in freaking Whitewater, Wisconsin. 15,000 people. Its police department only has 4 sworn officers and 13 civilians. How much you want to bet they're going to get killed or threaten to be killed? They can't stand a chance. Local cops are spending so much time dealing with the challenges posed by the illegal migrant population that regular policing has taken a back seat. What that means, I'll tell you what that means. Men beating women, drunkards abusing people. There's serious crimes that go on behind closed doors in small towns as well as big towns. That goes ignored. Let me continue on here. Whitewater police issuing significantly fewer tickets for speeding and drunk driving than is typical. Situation is putting serious strain on the Whitewater Unified School District. Gee, imagine that. They have to overcome language barriers. School resource officers crisscrossing the city trying to locate school-age children who often aren't showing up for school. The Whitewater Police and School District are now considering referendums to authorize an increase in property taxes to cover operational expense of spring 2025. Can you freaking believe they're going to make you pay more taxes for Joe and Kamala's illegals? You're paying for this. There's 15,000 of you. Can you imagine what the tax bill increase is going to be on them? I would say, bleep you. Bleep you. Go to the freaking liberal Democrat governor, Tony Evers, whatever his name is. He's a socialist. He's a massive Kamala supporter. You go to them. Go to liberal Democrat U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. See what she'll do for you. Go to your Democrat liberal congressman if that's who you have in Whitewater. I don't know. It's 50-50. I don't know that area as far as politics. I'll bet you it's changing now. I bet you're going to have a lot more votes in that. I'm talking like I'm from Wisconsin. Votes. I'm going to bet you're going to have a lot more votes. That's how they talk. The phone. I'm on the phone. I'm going home. I'm eating food. That's how they talk in Minnesota too. Yeah, dude. I'll bet you got a bunch of people have turned to Trump now. I mean, when this happens in your county, are you kidding me? You can see this in the rural area too. You kidding me? You think they're just sitting in a town of 15,000 pimping and beating and stealing? No. You know how easy it is for MS-13 to prey on a farm girl who wants to live an adventurous life and ends up dead or raped or pimped out in a small town of 15,000. They can have her being pimped out and tricked out at the school, and the student from Chicago wouldn't know he's doing that. You think he's just, hooking up with some chick or something. Oh, man, this is bad. What are they going to do to the rich students? I mean, I don't know how many rich students go to UW. There's going to be, what are they going to do to the students who have got a little bit of money that are living there on campus or living off campus? Are you kidding me? They're going to go into those parties? You ain't going to see nothing yet. How about your daughter at one of those house parties at night and a Tren de Aragua member comes in there? Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you. So here's my question. What would you do if this happened in your town? Why wouldn't it come to, say, and I don't know a small, maybe I'm going to think up something. You guys could throw in some. Stephen F. Austin, isn't that in a small town? Mary Hardin Baylor, that's in a small town. We stopped there, went to the Chick-fil-A by accident, thought it was a regular Chick-fil-A, it was on campus. Abilene. Isn't what's in Abilene? Isn't it Texas Christian University? How about am I right or wrong? No? Okay. Well, if you can talk to him. Our thing's broke. The hamster on the wheel's broken. Or what's it called? Lubbock, Texas Tech. I mean, that's not too small of a town, but it's small enough. It's coming to us. So my question is, what would you do if this happened to your town? Would you accept a tax bill? What would you do? 800, I would, you know what I would do? I would want to hire a new sheriff and a new police chief and a new school board and a new mayor and a new city council and a new county management team that would literally make life miserable for Joe Biden's illegals and would literally only raise taxes to make bigger jails. I am not exaggerating. Bigger jails, and as much as you can, hey, we're making great schools for you and all you people, you go to this school. Let them destroy their own school. I know you got to be careful on how that works legally and stuff, but I'm telling you, I would make my jails massive. I would make my police force massive, and I would put the freaking hammer down on these people. I would hire as many recruit law enforcement officers from jurisdictions out of Milwaukee and pay them to come stay for 2 nights out of the week when they're off or something. I would go nuts with every freaking thing to make people rich that will get this crap out of my town so that you can't breathe without you going to jail and a prosecutor that'll have the genital cuffs on them and lop them off and throw them in jail. That's what I would do. That's what I would do if it was my small town. That's exactly, I would say I'll pay $1,000 a year or more if it means getting this out of my town. If it protects my daughter from getting sexually assaulted, my wife from getting assaulted, me from getting robbed, my car from getting stolen, my house from being vandalized, or God knows what. Or a bank being robbed while I'm in it. Or seeing a 14-year-old girl being pimped out in front of my eyes and not being able to do a dang thing about it because a thug gangster is there with a gun on him. Of course, there's ways of dealing with that, but you don't want to go to jail. I think I'm going to tell you about Charleroi coming up next. I don't mean to drag this out, but I think it's important. I want to tell you the story of Charleroi, Pennsylvania, which is another small town. My gosh, it has 4,000 residents. Look what they're doing to these towns. Of 4,000, 15,000, and Springfield's 25,000, and it's got like 10,000 to 15,000 Haitian illegals. Joe and Kamala are destroying this nation one small town at a time. And I just saw, we're going to get into this tomorrow at 8:30. Tren de Aragua. You've been hearing on and off about a violent attack on a woman in North Dallas, a woman with money in North Dallas. Fox News just picked it up. And they're giving it the full treatment. So I'm going to talk to you about that. We're going to play the highlights from that tomorrow at 9:30 on the Wednesday Night Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Do not miss that. Next, you'll hear about Charleroi. And I'm continuing to ask you this question. Would love to hear from you, whether you live in a small town or not. I mean, I'm thinking about my friend in... Gosh, I can't think of it now. What's the town? It's not Flower Mound. It's you go up 70... No. Yeah, you go up 75. It's straight... north by northeast of, it'll come to me in a second, of, not from, oh no, I'm thinking of a small town just outside of the Metroplex. I'll pull it up on the map and tell you. My friend lives there. I can't believe I'm having a brain fart. But it's like being a small town just outside of the Metroplex and they come in there. All right, but Governor Greg Abbott would surge the Texas State Police along with all state, local, and city law enforcement and county, and they would crush them. All right, that's coming up now, and he would create penalty enhancers. He already did. He leveled them a Tier 1 gang, which means serious penalty and coordination throughout the entire state with the city, state and county and local police to crush not MS-13, but Tren de Aragua. All right, we'll get into that coming up next. Charleroi, plus what would you do if it happened in your town? On the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288 WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. This is amazing. I'm going to share with you some of this stuff from the City Journal's Rufo, Christopher Rufo, who's fantastic. I'm sure you've heard of him for years now. He's exposed a lot of stuff, and he's an amazing journalist. But I'm reminded of what we learned in it's also Greeley, Colorado. So I'm going to continue the towns here. You've got Charleroi, Pennsylvania, I'll share in a second, has been destroyed and is being ruined by illegal migrants that, as J.D. Vance said, Kamala and Biden waved their magic immigration wand and just invited in hundreds of thousands of Haitians who would never have been allowed in under Trump's asylum program. And they're all over the country, and they're in Greeley, Colorado, where they are living up to 9 in a room, in a single room. And I think there was up to 32 in one room. And this is all being done by a staffing agency that is a pimp, if you will, for the manufacturer in Greeley, Colorado. I think it's beef packing or slaughterhouse. I think it's a slaughterhouse. And there are illegal migrants working on, they're cooking on the floor with hot plates. They lose power sometimes and they cook outside. And they are bussed to and from, and they're housed by these staffing agencies that make tons of money. And the food processing plant or slaughterhouse in Greeley, Colorado makes tons of money while paying them crap wages instead of paying Coloradans a wage that they say it's a job nobody will work, but you know and I know if you pay enough you'll work, you'll do it. Guess what? There are people who get paid insane amounts of money to do sewage water waste treatment plants, and they're pulling, I'm not exaggerating, I'm not trying to be nasty, condoms out of the water and tampons and all vile sorts of disgusting things are waiting in it to pull that stuff out, either by hand or with, like a scooper thing all day long, but they get paid really well, and they ain't illegals. There's one of your examples right there of jobs that people won't do but will do if you pay them up, and they get paid a lot. But continuing on, so it's slave labor is what they're doing. And that's what Joe and Kamala wanted for the rich friends that are liberal Democrats and even Republicans. This former steel town of Greeley, Pennsylvania, slightly more than 4,000 residents, 2,000 predominantly Haitian illegal migrants have moved in. Now, I want to ask you the question. You can chime in still on this one. At 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. What would you do if this happened to your town? An invasion of illegal migrants in a town of 4,000, you get 2,000 Haitians. In a town of 15,000, you get 1,000 illegals from Joe Biden and Kamala, including MS-13. In Greeley, Colorado, you get invaded and people are working slave labor and living 9 to 32 people to a room, boarded by the company getting rich off all this. Or Springfield, Ohio, where in a town of 25,000 gets invaded by 10 to 15,000 Haitians. The town already struggling, going back to Charleroi, Pennsylvania, already struggling with high rates of poverty and unemployment, has been forced to assimilate to thousands of new arrivals. The schools now crowd with new Haitians, pupils that have to hire translators and English teachers. Some of the old pipes downtown have started releasing the smell of sewage. According to a town council member, there's growing sense of trepidation about the alarming number of car crashes, with some vehicles reportedly slamming into buildings. Among the city's old guard, frustrations are beginning to boil over. Instead of being used to revitalize these communities, the residents argue residents get redirected to new arrivals who undercut wages, drive up rents, and so far have failed to assimilate. Worst of all, these residents say they had no choice. It was never a vote or a question of migration. It simply materialized. Trump echoed the sentiments. It takes centuries to build a unique character of each state, but reckless migration policy can change it quickly and permanently. Boy, is he right. You've got Jewish Family Community Services, who got $12.5 million of revenue. 6.15 million revenue just came in from government grants, and they are taking care of these illegals, getting them jobs, getting them arranged with everything. So what happens, NGOs, liberal Democrat-supported NGOs, their buddies of Democrats are getting millions and millions to smuggle in, shove these illegal migrants in, and screw us! While they get 12 or 16 million, we're getting screwed. I'll have to continue with this a later time. I don't even live in these places. You see how I feel? I bet you feel the same way. I hope you do. My gosh. Receive the royal bone. That's what that is.